Hello everyone, this is Cerda, and this is my week 4 video digest. So we're going to go ahead and start off with vegetarian diets. There are a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to keep this at under 10 minutes. So the first question is, explain what the DGAC 2010 says about vegetarian versus non-vegetarian diets in relation to weight loss, cardiovascular disease, and total mortality and cancer. So as far as weight loss was concerned, there really wasn't much of a difference between vegetarians and non-vegetarians, but vegetarian diets too tend to decrease your risk of developing cardiovascular disease, and they do contribute to longer life expectancies as well. However, there's no evidence to prove that vegetarian diets do reduce your risk of developing cancer. So what besides meat content may be responsible for the differences between diets with meat and diets with no meat? So people who consume no meat tend to consume more fruits and vegetables and more dairy products. It's kind of a trade-off, so they consume more than those who do consume meat. So what is appropriate carb content of most vegetarian diets? And that would be about 56%, which is in compliance with the guidelines. So what are the significant safety concerns of vegetarian diets, and what are these concerns? Are there significant safety concerns of vegetarian diets, and what are these concerns? So protein sources. Protein sources are always a concern of vegetarians and people that are considering vegetarian diets and this particular lifestyle, because there are concerns that those who do not consume meat are deficient in amino acids that are only found in animal-based proteins. Is there any particular component of a diet that contains meat that may be of special concern? Research tends to show that diets that are higher in consumption of processed red meats tend to have a higher mortality rate than people who consume less amounts of processed red meats. Saturated fats are always a concern, and the consequences of consuming high amounts of meat. Also, vitamins found in animal-based proteins are also a concern, because if you're not consuming meat, then you are not getting those nutrients. So those are just a few. Now, as far as USDA diets go, let's describe how the USDA diet is often presented since 2011. And that is with the My Plate on myplate.gov, which I definitely recommend everyone taking a look at. It gives great visual examples of what your plate should look like, and you can even print them out and pass them along to anybody who might need them. It gives you great examples of portion sizes as far as fruits, vegetables, proteins, grains, and dairy. And it also has some information about drinks as well. So it's an excellent resource for adults and children. So what are the two main things of the DGAC 2010? And this focuses a lot on nutrient-dense foods and maintaining a caloric balance and an overall healthy weight. So what are 4 things the DGAC 2010 specifically limits? That is added sugars, refined grains, sodium, and solid fats. So what are the 3 greatest sources of saturated fats in the American diet? And also, these also happen to be the greatest sources of solid fats as well. That would be refined grain, desserts, pizza, and regular cheese, which is sad because pizza is one of my favorite foods. Explain why DGAC probably emphasizes limiting solid fats. And that is because solid fats are associated with cardiovascular disease, and they provide an excess of empty calories that eventually lead to excess weight gain. So what is the greatest source of added sugars in the American diet? And that would definitely be sugary drinks. Sodas, sports drinks, Gatorade, Coke, all of those things are just add a lot of sugar to the American diet. And what is the DGAC prescribed limit for dietary sodium? And that would be less than 2,300 milligrams for the average American, or if you're for the general population. And if you're over 51 years of age, then your recommended sodium intake is 1,500 milligrams. So the AHA lifestyle recommendations. What are the AHA guidelines? criteria or cutoffs to achieve for LDL, HDL, triglycerides, blood pressure, blood glucose, and physical activity. So for LDL, it is less than 100. HDL, it is greater than 40 for women and 50 for men. Our triglycerides should be less than 150. Our blood pressure should be 120/80. Our fasting blood sugar should be about 100, less than 100. And our physical activity should be at a bare minimum of 30 minutes per day or 60 minutes per day if you are trying to lose weight. So briefly describe the essential components of 2006 AHA diet and lifestyle recommendations to reduce CVD, and that would basically mean just sticking to the baselines that we described above, maintaining a healthy body weight, and definitely staying away from tobacco products and smoking, and just generally living a healthy lifestyle. So explain if the DASH diet fits within the AHA dietary pattern guidelines, and note how much fruit and vegetables and grains are prescribed in DASH. So DASH definitely falls within the guidelines. I believe it's a recommended diet as well. And the fruits and vegetable servings per day should be 4 to 5 and 6 to 8 servings of grain. So explain what the AHA says about the macronutrient intake on energy balance. And it really doesn't have that much of an effect. But if your balance is off and you are consuming more, if you're intaking more calories than you're expending, then you're definitely going to see some weight gain. So it's very important to maintain that balance. So eat these, what to eat. Identify and order the 5 foods that have been found to be associated with reduced risks for coronary heart disease. So So it would be whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and fish. Identify the component in tea that is probably associated with the decreased risk in cardiovascular disease. So that would be the catechins. And in wine, it is resveratrol. I have the hardest time saying that word, I apologize. And for chocolate, it would also be the catechins. So for my something new, I found this article really interesting. It was a journal and it hits really close to home because this is something that we definitely see all the time in my area of the country. I live in South Texas, specifically in Wesco, but I live in the Rio Grande Valley, which is regional, and so we are constantly traveling to other cities around us, and this is just prevalent across the board down here. We are also one of the poorest counties. I think the county that I live in and the county next to us are one of the poorest countries in the nation. So this article really hit close to home. So I selected an article from the Journal of Nutrition, Education, and Behavioral, and this article looked at factors that affected food choice and health beliefs among low-income women in the context of their weight and socioeconomic status. So the researchers conducted 14 90-minute groups that were audio taped, or focus groups that were audio taped, and the measures were food choice and health beliefs among these women. 75% of the participants in this study were obese or overweight, and they were tasked with with purchasing the food for their families. So they were definitely concerned with food choice, but they didn't believe that they could afford to feed their families healthy options and healthy foods. So this article really saw the need for education and outreach programs for low-income families to educate them on the on ways to feed their family healthy foods on a budget. And it reminded me of a program where I learned about the My Food Plate down here that Texas A&M was doing in the flea markets. And essentially, we have a group of students doing diabetes A1C testing at the flea markets, and they test people's A1C for free, give them a little bit of education based on their on the results of their tests, and they actually use the myfoodplay.org materials to not .org myfoodplay.gov materials to educate these people on what they should be eating and give them tips on how to feed their families healthy foods on a budget. So I thought that was very, very interesting, and I was kind of excited. I'm going to be sharing that article with them as well. So yeah, so that is my video digest for this week, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.